ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। वागर्थाविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्थः प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ. Hello and welcome everybody again. We have 23 people on 25 people I think on the call and on 25 people here. So any new people on the call for the first time coming in today, just wanted to say welcome. And if you have any questions, you please raise your hands. You have a hand raising mechanism. You raise your hands and you will get my attention. So you raise your hands and use the question part only if you want to have some technical question, nothing related to subject matter. If you have any question related to subject matter at any time during this class, please raise your hands so I know you have a question and I can address it right away. Anup here is helping me with the call, so he'll be monitoring the questions that are typed in. And I have Kailashji, who is the fellow organizer. So in case, like last time, there's a power outage or there's a network outage and we lose the connection, I request all of you to just please hang on for a few minutes. I should at least be able to come back with the telephone, if not with the computer. So just hold on for a few minutes, and Kailash will be still there even if we lose our network connection from here. So just be there and you'll get instructions as to what has to be done. All right. With that, I will start this class. Ram, could you close the door, please? Okay. So I'll start with a summarization of what we went through last time. No, just the door, I said. Yeah. We'll start a summarization of the last class. So what did we cover last time? We started with the Anubandha Chatushtayam, which is to say what are the four things which are spoken about first before you begin any study. In the Shastric tradition, we always talk about four things. What is the Vishaya? Okay, it's a typo here. It should be an Adhikari. So Vishaya, Adhikari, Prayojanam, and Sambandha. Okay. So these are the four things that have to be spoken of before you start any work, because the first thing a person wants to know is what is it that why should one undertake this study? That's something one wants to know about. And that is the most important factor, because without that we don't want to start any venture. So prayojanam for the study is what? That once we know the Sanskritam as a language, we can undertake Shastric study, and with the Shastric study we could then go ahead and study the Shastras and go towards moksha, which is our main goal, right? So then the other important thing that I want to mention is Adhikari. So Adhikari is the person. What should the person be prepared? What is the preparedness of the person itself? Sorry. Okay, now it's fixed. So what is the preparedness of the person itself? That's the most important factor, and that is something that I stressed last time. One should have a nishchaya, which means one should have determination that you want to do it. Like I said, we can do it. You start with that, at least with that notion. Don't start by saying it's tough, I can't do it, because a wrong attitude will not help you get started even. So first one is that. Then second I said is Shraddha, faith in yourself that you can do it again. Udyamam, effort, the necessary effort. Sahasam, the courage to stay on with it and continue. Dhairyam, patience. You need some patience because it might take some time to catch on with things. It's okay. But these things are very, very important. Another thing that is here is Medha. Medha means grantha grahana and dharana shakti, ability to understand and retain what is being taught. So this is an extremely important attribute because, as I said last time, there are things that need to be memorized in language, the declensions, the conjugations, which you cannot do without. So these are extremely important. And, if any of you want this, in the classroom, I can put this on the Google Doc, so you don't have to write what's already on this, okay? You will get this in a mail. Okay. Then the next thing that we spoke about is, I'm not going over the Sambandha and Vishaya, etc. You know what it is. Main thing I want to stress was Adhikari. Sanskrit is a phonetic language, which means the pronunciation, as I mentioned, is very, very important. Each and every sound has to be pronounced appropriately. And that is something, as I've mentioned, I will take up in a class. Right now, I'm just introducing the whole language. And in due course, I expect to, take 1 or 2 full classes on just the Shiksha, which means how to pronounce every single character in the alphabet. That is something we will go about. Then language. What is language? It is more than just a set of rules of grammar. It is a means of communication. And the means of communication uses sound symbols. That is why we are saying it's a phonetic language. And then we went over the fact that what is there in any language is Kriya, is the action, is the centerpiece. And Jati, Guna, Sambandha. Jati means a species, Guna is a quality, and Sambandha means connection, any kind of connection. These are all that words can express in any language. And Sanskrit is no exception to that rule. And grammatically, the action part of it is what is called as Kriya. And those will be the verbs. And the Jati, Guna, and Sambandha, these 3 will be the nouns grammatically. Okay. So as I explained, why am I saying the word grammatically? Because I want to stress the fact that it is not that we don't have adjectives, adverbs, any of that, but it's just that in the grammar we will treat them all as nouns and verbs only. There are only 2 things to be dealt with. Okay. So verb is the centerpiece, and noun is meaningful only as related with an action or as related with another noun. This is something that I stressed for a length of time last time, and I'm doing that again because I think it is one of the centerpieces of the language. You need to understand this very, very clearly, that unless you're seeing a noun as related to another noun or verb in the Sanskrit language, it has absolutely no existence, no meaning. You cannot have a word unless you add that relationship to it. So it's like saying the prepositions, the conjunctions that you have in the English language, all those are kind of rolled into the noun, and that is why we get the conjugations. We saw those 24 forms of Rama last time. We will definitely go over them again, but that's what I'm trying to indicate here in summary. Okay. Then nouns. What else do we talk about nouns? In Sanskrit, the way the noun relates to another word in the context is built into the word. That's what I just mentioned. So like your conjunctions, your prepositions. So if I want to say, Rama was given food, right? Or if I say, he gave this to Rama, I have to say Ramam. The word Rama, the noun base Rama, gets modified to become Ramam. And that is what I mean by that to Rama. That connection has got kind of added to the noun base Rama, and that is a very important aspect of the language. Okay. Then we spoke of karakas. Karakas are factors of action or factors related to action, and these we spoke of the kartra karaka, the agent of an action, karma karaka, the object of an action, karana karaka, the instrument through which actions are done, then sampradana, which is given, apadana, that from which an action emanates, and adhikarana, the location in time, in space, in subject matter for an action. Okay. So these are the karakas, 6 karakas we mentioned. We are going to see more of that and much more of that in fact. So as I'm just summarizing what we did in the last class once more. Then I spoke of pratipadikam, which is a noun base. So these words I'm deliberately using again and again because I will keep using these words, and it would be good for all of you to get very familiar with these terms. Pratipadikam means a noun base, which means that with which you start to create a noun declension. So Rama is a pratipadikam. Hari is a pratipadikam. Lata is a Pratipadikam. Nadi is a Pratipadikam. So these are the noun bases. We start with that and we start declining them and we get the various forms of the noun. Okay. So what is the Shabda Rupas? These are the declensions. So we spoke of 8 into 3 forms, 6 for the Karakas, which I just talked about. Then we have 1 for the Sambandha, which is the Shashti, 6th case, and we have 1 Sambodhana, which is the vocative. Right? So these are the total makes it 8, 6 plus 2. Now, what do these forms, these 24 forms depend upon? We saw that, but I'm just recapping them here. First is Pratipadikasya Adi Aksharam, means the first letter of the base, the noun base. Like we said, Rama is Akaranta Pratipadikam. So we did this especially in the last class, on last Saturday, where I took you through the Shabda Manjari. So the first one in the Shabda Manjari was Rama. We spoke of Ajanta Pullinga, Rama Shabdaha in that Akaranta. Ajanta means Ach, as I mentioned, is Ach stands for all vowels, all the vowels. And Ajanta means Ajadi means it's starting with a vowel. So Rama, I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. I should not have said what I said. Let me fix that. It is not Adi, it should be Antakshara. Yeah, I'm sorry. Another typo. We'll fix that. Okay? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll fix that. Thank you. So the last letter is what I intended to say. I wrote first. Still getting used to the keyboard. All right. Okay. So the last letter of the base, not the first, the last letter of the base. So Ajanta means ending with a vowel. And here it is Akaranta, means ending in A. That is Rama. Akaranta, Lata. Ikaranta, Hari. Ikaranta, Nadi. Ukaranta, Guru. Ukaranta, Vadhu. Rikaranta, Pitru. That is Pullinga. Rikaranta Strilinga is Matru. Right? So these in general are the various endings. Takaranta, Marut. Then Jakaranta, Vanij. So each ending is something we have to take care of. So as soon as you see a noun, you should say what is its noun base. Try to understand it. Understand what is the ending letter of that noun base. That unlocks the type of declension for you. Okay, along with the linga. What is the second factor? Linga. Linga means what? Gender. What genders now? Pullinga. Pullinga means masculine gender. Strilinga means feminine gender. Napumsakalinga means neuter gender. And you will see in the infant reader, which we will look at for reading, M is masculine, F is feminine, and N stands for the neuter gender. Then the third thing was Vachana, which talks of the number. How many? So are you talking of one, singular, talking of dual, or are you talking of plural, Bahuvachana? Ekavachana, Dvivachana, and Bahuvachana. So this we illustrated with a few pages of the Shabda Manjari. And we also took the words Saraswati Namastubhyam. And I explained the fact that this Saraswati, when you see a Hrasva for an Ikaranta Strilinga Shabda, it cannot be the nominative singular. It has to be the vocative singular to say you are addressing Saraswati and saying, hey Saraswati, I salute you. Okay? So this is in a nutshell what we did in the last class. If anybody has any question, no, I'll finish some more things and then we'll finish. This is the noun part of it. Verbs. Verbs, I spoke of the fact that every verb, the basis is what is called as a dhatu, a root. Okay. The next thing is lakara, which stands for the tenses or moods. Why is it called lakara? As I said, this is Panini's nomenclature. He wants a short form. So he starts all the tenses. So we have a present tense which is called lat, lakara. We have 3 past tenses. One of them is called lung, which is an indefinite past. No, lung is one day past between one day, yesterday and before that. One day's past is called lut. And a past which is very, very far beyond time, where nobody has seen it, is called lit. Right? Then we have future, which is rit and lut. Okay? So these words will sound confusing to start with, but you will get familiar soon. But note only one thing. Everything starts with a la, which is called lakara. In the language, any letter we want to mention, we will add a kara to it in general. Okay? So if you want to say a, we say akara. If you want to say I, you say ikara. If you want to say ka, you say kakara. See, for vowels, it is not that critical because each vowel, as I mentioned last time, can be pronounced, enunciated independently. But when it comes to consonants, the consonants cannot be pronounced independently. There is no way to pronounce a consonant independent of a vowel. A vowel is always needed. So if I want to refer to a pure consonant, how do I do? You add a kara. So kakara means just the kavarna, just the letter ka without any swara in it. So that's with the halantyam. So you put the halantyam and you know what it is, right? So for example, I'm just saying kakara would be like this. You would write in Sanskrit as ka. So you can see that there's a line below the ka. If I wanted to make it, if I added a vowel it will become ka. That's how it works. Okay? So that is the kakara. So now what's happened? Lakara we're talking about. So every single name of a tense or a mood starts with a la. Right? So when you're conjugating verbs, what are the most important thing? One is the dhatu, what's its meaning. The second thing is lakara, what tense or mood it is in. Mood just means the sense. Like for example, many of you may be aware of vidhiling or lot. Vidhiling means agyarthaka, which is an order. This is actually the thing is, we will see it with respect to karakas and with these lakaras, that what normally you see in a grammar book is just a restricted meaning of it. So lot and vidhiling do not mean just order. They mean much more than that. They cover all shades of requests as well. So such a certain shade of request is saying, suppose you want to tell somebody, that you should come and eat. You don't want to tell him that. You want to be very, very gentle. So you say, it's time to eat. It's about time. It's that time of the day when we eat. Things like that. So that kind of a sense is also conveyed by the lot lakara. So there are several shades of meaning, and that is something which you will get only when you typically go into the Paninian grammar, because otherwise the English grammar translations typically will just say it's, an order. And in the Vedic context, what do we hear always? Ling lot tavya. Ling is vidhiling, lakara. Lot is another lakara, and tavya we'll see some time later. It's a participle form, and all the three can be used in the sense of an order, a command. In the Veda, there are Vedic injunctions which say you should do your nitya karma. If you want this phala, if you want to go to Swarga, you do Jyotishtoma. These orders are called, or what are called injunctions, are placed either in ling, lot, or tavya. This is just an aside at this point. Okay? Then we had Purusha. Purusha means what? The person. Now, this is something that a question was raised, and I think there is scope for confusion. So we'll clarify that. First one is Uttama Purusha. Uttama Purusha means it is the person which is me. I, me, or we both. Okay? This is what is called the first person in the English language, not in the Sanskrit language. In Sanskrit language, it is only called Uttama Purusha. Second one, Madhyama Purusha. Madhyama means what? Middle person, you can say, or second person. What does it stand for? It stands for the other person you are having a conversation, you are communicating with. So that second person whom you are addressing is the Madhyama Purusha. Okay? Second person. Then that is, it includes you in singular, you both in dual, and you all in plural. Third one is Prathama Purusha or Anya Purusha. Now this is where the scope for confusion comes in. It is called Prathama. Now the word Prathama, if you translate to English, it will translate as first. Okay? So as I said, we use the word Prathama in the Sanskrit language for third person. In English we will call it a third person, not as a second person or first person. So when I say third person in English, it means the Prathama Purusha. And there's another word for that. In some books, in some grammar books, you'll find it, Anya Purusha. And I think I prefer the word Anya Purusha in some way, because at least in the Sanskrit language, it becomes very clear to you that it is something else. But let me also give you the significance of why it is called Prathama. See, when I am speaking to you culturally, I am not important. Okay? I'm speaking to you means you are already having attention. You are not, I mean, what are we talking about? What are we communicating? I am communicating to you. It's very clear even with body language perhaps, right? We are standing facing each other. We are talking to you. So now what is being communicated, the Vishaya, the subject matter of communication is the most important factor in the conversation. Therefore, it is called Prathama Purusha. It is called Prathama because it is the most important factor in the communication. Okay? That's the meaning, well, that's the reason why it's called Prathama Purusha. But as I said, looking at it purely as saying, first person is I, second person is you, and everything else is the third person. In that context, using this word Anya Purusha will make it easier for you. So I'm saying remember it either way, but keep in mind that the first person of English is third person of Sanskrit. Be very clear about that. Okay? Then Vachana. Vachanam is what? The number, which we already saw. Singular, dual, and plural. So these three are again there for the verb. So now these together, the dhatu, the lakara, the purusha, and the vachana. All these four put together, you will start being able to define and there's one more factor which we had not covered last time, and I will cover it probably later today, not right now. But there's something called, a dhatu can be called atmanepada or parasnepada. We will look into it. I don't want to just rush into it right now. We will deal with it in a little time. But there's another factor in what tells you what's the forms for a verb. See, for nouns we saw, right? I said it's pratipadikam. What is the ending of the pratipadikam? What is the gender? And what is the vachana? With those we got a 24 forms. For verbs, I'm trying to show you exactly the same thing. What's the basis? So you have a dhatu, the verb, the root, the lakara, the tense or the mood, purusha, which is a person, vachana, which is number, and the ending. Together, these will give you 9 forms for a combination. So we saw the forms for, I think, pathati. We said pathati, pathataha, pathanti, pathasi, pathathaha, pathatha, pathami, pathavaha, pathamaha. What are the meanings? Pathati, somebody reads, not you. Pathati is third person. Okay? Anya Purusha. Then pathataha, he, she, the two of them though, read. Pathanti, they all read. Then pathasi, you read. Pathathaha, you both read. Pathatha, you all read or study. Then pathami, I read. Pathavaha, we both read. Pathamaha, we all read. Right? So this is something which we will see once in the Dhatu Manjari, but it's in the Dhatu Manjari, second one of the books I have recommended for you. So you will find all the Dhatu Rupas there. And in general, because of the peculiarities of how certain Dhatus will get modified, before you add these endings, Titaha, Anti, etc., the roots have been divided into 10 groups. Okay? So the Dhatu Manjari will show you how the 10 groups are divided. And for each group, for Parasnepada and Atmanepada endings, it will tell you how the forms will be for a set of dhatus. Okay? So that is something we will look into. But just as an introduction, I am saying this is what we spoke about with respect to the verbs. Okay? If anybody has any questions on whatever we have covered so far, as I said, this is just a recap of what we did last time. I felt it's important to do that because this is the fundamentals, the basics. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. And I will take the question now. Anybody? Yeah, you can you can use the mic actually. I could, but I'm saying that the mic also it should. Yeah. No? It's on? If it's not working, don't worry about it. Oh, it's working. Okay. It's bad. Look, it's okay. I'll repeat it. You see it.
I was listening to the class
Yeah.
last time, Saraswati Namaskar.
Yeah.
For the Namaha, there was some confusion. And then
No, stick is this. Nama is not a great word. Just switch it off. It is a nam dhatu, but it is not a regular verb form. It's not a verbal form. And I don't want to introduce Namaha at this point in time. So I just deferred that. Okay? So that is the only question. So the question was just No, it's not in any of these. It's not a verbal form at all. Okay. So the question was from KK, and the question was, what was this namaha? If you don't mind, just switch it off and leave it. So the word namaha, last time there was some confusion because initially I started to explain Saraswati Namastubhyam and I was thinking namaha as a verb. Then I realized suddenly it's not the verb, so I just skipped that word. Okay. We'll come back to that another class sometime. Okay. Any other questions from anybody online? Nope. I don't see any. Okay. He went away? Okay. That's fine. Okay. All right. So now, who? The hand is okay. Sharma. Okay. Yes, Mr. Sharma.
About this pronunciation.
Yeah.
For everything which ends in a, I hear as ah sound.
Yeah.
Atman pad.
Atmane padam. Pada.
What?
Atmane pada. Parasmai pada.
Pad.
You speak Hindi, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now you see, when you say Rama, see in Hindi generally what happens, you drop the last swara. You say Ram, right?
No, I say Ram.
No, I'm just saying, generally people say Ram. But whereas in Sanskrit you say Rama. That A in the end is clearly pronounced. So in Sanskrit there is no A. See, the sound A in English does not have an existence in Sanskrit actually.
No, I'm not talking about English. What I hear, irrespective what language is this one, as sound A, not A.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you. There is no sound A in Sanskrit. There is only A. So when I say parasmai pada, it is A alone. It is ending in A. If you want, in Sanskrit, the other endings possible are A or I. So I'll have to either say Rame or Ramai. I cannot say Rame. This is what I said last time. We cannot pronounce the word cat. I cannot say cat. I have to say cut, or to say cart, or I have to say kate, or I have to say kite. So the sound A and A are the first two vowels in the Sanskrit language, and those vowels are what you're seeing in the end of Parasmai Pada and Atmane Pada. Just so you get a clearer idea, let me just put that here. See, this Pada is like this. It is Pad plus A. This is what gives you Pada. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right.
I think maybe it's...
no, it's not clear to you?
No, I understand, I mean, what you're trying to say, but the sounds are not coming out clear, so that's why I keep hearing Shankar. Instead of Shankar, I say here Shankara.
Yes, I'm saying it is Shankara. It is not Shankar. It is Shankara. Because Shankar would be written like this. Sorry, just one second. This is Shankar, okay? Now I'll show you what is Shankara. This Ra, and I add an A to it. Shankara. So these two sounds are different. The first one is Shankar. The second one is Shankara. Is that clear?
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So now we will start with what we have to do. One more? Okay. Just one second. Okay. All right. So now we will start with what I want to do in today's class, starting in today's class. Huh? I'll take that. One second. Yes. Viral Kumarji.
Yes, I was just saying to the following, the conversation just that were going on. I just want to say that instead of speaking with a throat, the person would try to speak from a stomach, then his pronunciation of "o" will come. That was my just.
No, I don't think there's a link with... Hello, Viralji.
Yes.
Viralji, I think you may have your... Are you muted? Are you muted? Okay. Viralji, you basically, I think, may have your speaker on. Do you? You should, I mean, I've requested people and I'll request you again, if you want to ask a question, please make sure you don't have a speaker on. It causes an echo for everybody and recording is also messed up. Please get a mic and headset or use the phone to call in, all right? I'll answer your question. I'll mute you and answer your question.
I'm sorry,
Okay. So the thing is this. Basically, this is not about, see, what you're talking about is Nabhitala Prakarana, etc., which means certain sounds are produced from, Nabhitala means from the base of the navel. So sounds can be produced from the base of the navel, can be produced from the throat, but that is not what comes in the context that was just answered. I think the question was the sound versus a or a, and those sounds I'm saying don't exist. So that is the context of this question. If that answered your question, I'm fine. If not, you can raise your hand again. Okay. All right. So now, basically, I said this last time and I'll just continue from there. There are only two types of the words in the language. What are they? Nouns and verbs. Now, the nouns are called sub-anta padam. Okay, you will see reasons for all this. I'll explain this. As I said, I just want to introduce terminology to you so that all of you get familiar with this common terminology which I will be using going forward. Okay, sub-anta padam becomes sub-anta padam. That are words ending in what is called as sub-pratyaya. Okay, don't worry that you don't understand what is sub-pratyaya right now. You will understand it later. Okay, to give you a feel for it, I mean, see, we did Rama Shabda, Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramo, Raman. So there are 24 forms we got. So we added something to that Rama to get those 24 forms, right? Each of those things you added to Rama to get those 24 forms is called a Subanta Pratyaya. Okay? So the noun ending affixes, which we add to the noun base to get these nouns are called Subantas. Okay? Why? They are called Supratyayas. And because the word ends in them, the nouns are called Subanta. That which ends in Sup is called Subanta. Okay? Similarly, there are verbs. The verbs, like we saw, we started with the dhatu pat. Right? So the dhatu we started with just plain pat. And that pat became what? Pathati, pathataha, pathanti, etc. Right? So the ti, taha, anti, si, thaha, tha, mi, vaha, maha, which we added to the dhatu, to the root, those are also called affixes, pratyayas. And those pratyayas which are added to form these verbal forms are called ting pratyayas. Okay? So, that which ends in a ting pratyaya is called ting anta padam. So, you will hear these two terms. Okay? Get used to them. Subanta means a noun. Tinganta means a verb. Just start getting used to these terms. As I don't expect anything more at this point. I'm just using another word because it will become clear why I want to use these terms soon. Okay. Then, I thought I will introduce you to the first Panini Sutra officially. Okay. So you get a feel for what is Panini also. Right? It is not a great example of what Panini is all about, but it's still a good beginning. I thought it would be a good gentle beginning without too much of complication in it. Suptingantam padam. Okay. Now what is Panini Sutra? What is Panini? What is all this about Panini we talk about? Let me talk a little about that at this point. Panini was the greatest, one of the greatest of our grammarians. Not the first grammarian, not the last, but probably the most shining link in our parampara for grammar. What did Panini do? See, this language, as I explained last time, Sanskrit is a natural language, which means the language came first, right? And the rules have to be written later. Unlike a computer language is a prescriptive grammar. A prescriptive grammar is where you write the grammar first, then you start speaking in the language, you communicate in the language. So any artificial language is a prescriptive grammar. But any natural language, English, Hindi, Kannada, Sanskrit, anything you take, Tamil, all of them are natural languages, which means the natural language came first, and then at some point in time, somebody decided we have to codify the language so that we may have a set of rules so everybody understands the same thing for the same words. So these are called descriptive grammars. Now, Sanskrit, obviously, the natural language needed descriptive grammar. There were grammars before Panini. He quotes people like Shakatayana, Shakalya. He quotes a grammarian. And if he quotes a grammarian, means he is respecting them a lot. He's showing them a lot of respect. we hear of a grammar by Indra. In Ramayana, you hear of Hanuman being a Ashtavyakarana Pandita, which means he knew 8 kind of Vyakarana. Which means what? There were 8 different ways, grammatical rule basis, So obviously, since the rules are written, anybody who is very good at a language could try to understand the whole language and come up with a set of rules, right? So what did Panini do? Panini managed to study the whole language. He knew the language, the Vaidika and the Laukika, the language in the Vedas and the language in non-Vedic literature, and he wrote a set of rules which can explain the entire language in just 4,000 brief rules, which are called sutras. Sutra, the word sutra, the definition is alpaksharam, asandigdham, saravat vishvatomukham, astobham, anavadyancha, sutram sutravido janaha. I will explain each word here. Alpaksharam, this is the main feature of a sutra. What does alpaksharam mean? Alpa means small, little. Aksharam means a letter. Alpaksharam means what? Small number of letters, few letters. Few letters in what? In a word. Now, how many words in a sentence? Minimum number of words. How many sentences? Minimum number of sentences. Basically, what's the stress on? Brevity. Alpaksharam means brevity. Keep it brief. Don't say anything more than you have to say. This is why you will see Panini loves words like lat. Lat means present tense. What does lat mean? Nothing. But he coins that word and says lat means present. You understand that? Once I said this, you don't have to remember vartamana kala. How many letters you have? Vartamana kala. As against lat. Lat has just 2 syllables. Lakara and lakara. Actually 1. Lat. If you just take it, see, normally we add a consonant on either side of a vowel. So if you take it that way, lat, you will get just one there, right? So now lat, lung, lit, ti. These are the words he gives. So whenever you find a very short name in Sanskrit grammar, you should do one pranam to Panini Maharaj. Okay? Because he gives you a very quick, short index to remember things. Otherwise, you have to remember long strings for everything. So much of, wastage in the gray cells. You don't want to spend more space than is needed. This book, those of you who are in the hall can see, this book has got the entire grammar rules of Panini and more. Okay? So this is the brevity. Now, alpaksharam is the main, that's what I'm saying, that's the main thing. And it is said that our Vyakarana-karas would celebrate the reduction by half a matra as one would celebrate the birth of a son. It is such a samarambha. It is a great festival. Because what? You manage to shorten it down by another half matra. 1 matra is the time it takes to say the letter U. Okay? If you say U, it is 1 matra. If you say U, it is 2 matras. So, if you reduce something by half a matra, then it is Putrotsavaiva, it is celebrated. A new son is born to you. That much is happiness. You can give laddus to people. Alright? So, this is Panini. Alpaksharam. Asandigdham. Okay, if it is very brief, I keep it very brief. Now I want to call Palani and I say Pa. Will Palani answer to me? Because, okay, he is Palani all right, but there will be somebody else beginning with P here. Nobody knows who I'm calling. Right? So, unless I know that there is nobody else whose name begins with Pa, and people know I can call them with the letter their name begins with, you won't answer to my call. Right? So now, suppose there were 3 more people, okay, whose name began with Pa. Let us say one was Parvati, okay, and one was Priya. Then, if I want to make it unique, what will I do? I can say Pada. You'll still get it. Right? So, in this manner, it has to be unambiguous. So, this making it unambiguous is called asandigdham. Sandigdham means there is ambiguity. Alpaksharam, asandigdham. Saravat. Saravat means it has the essence. It's filled with essence. It contains the essence. Means what? Nothing but the essence. See, suppose now you want to eat, what should I say? A lemon. Right? You want to get the lemon juice. What do? You cut the lemon, you squeeze the juice out, and what do? You throw the end away. Right? which means what? There was Sara and there was a lot more in it. That Sara, the juice of the lemon, was contained in that lemon, but to contain it, the container had a lot of useless material which you threw away. Correct? So, this is something which is Saravat, means what? It has nothing but the essence. Nothing can be thrown away from here. Why? Because Alpaksharam. It is brief to start with. There is nothing more than you need. No packaging. Okay? Alpaksharam, Asandigdham, Saravat, Vishvato Mukham. Vishvato Mukham means what? A given word can mean multiple things in a context. Especially in Sanskrit, which is a language you will see later, we have something called compounds. Compounds means what? Multiple words are joined together. And the way the words join can give you different meanings. Okay? So for example, this is a very common example talked about, Rameshwara. If you say Rameshwara, there are two words in that, Rama and Ishvara. Now the question is, what does Rameshwara mean? Does it mean, Rama is Ishvara for whom? Does it mean Rama and Ishvara? What does it mean? It could mean anything. So then you have to resolve it. So such a word, if you use in a sutra, what does it mean? We said asandigdham, right? So there can be no ambiguity as to what the sutra means. Suppose you had these completely opposite, different meanings. One means Rama and Ishvara, two people. Another means Rama is Ishvara for whom it's only one person. Then it's very confusing, right? It can be confusing, not is. It can be confusing. So the only way it can be used, such a word can be used in a sutra, is if both the words will make complete sense to you. Okay? Vishvato Mukham. In any context you interpret, any way you try to interpret the word, it should make sense. It should not give a wrong meaning. And this grammarians use very effectively when they want to have multiple things being said through one word. Because that one word can mean multiple things. Alpaksharam is achieved even by this method. That one word can mean multiple things to you in a context. This is the same being done even in the Vedanta Shastras. So you will see in Brahma Sutras we hear Shastrayo Nitvat. We repeat that twice. Shastrayo Nitvat. Why? Because in one case we mean it is that Shastra is the yoni of which means it is a pramana. It is that by which the Ishvara is known. In the second case it means it is the very origin of the Shastra itself. Very different meanings. But that sutra lends itself perfectly well to both those interpretations. Therefore, that's a very typical example given in Vedanta for Vishvato Mukham. Vishvataha means turning all directions. In all directions, the meanings are available. Astobham, Anavadyancha, Astobham. So if you heard the Samaveda anytime being chanted, ha, woo, ha, woo, ha, woo, ha, you hear all these things, okay? So you will hear a lot of ha, woo, going in sing-song ways. Now, those things we don't want in a sutra. Sutra is not, we don't want to remember all kinds of songs here. So it is that those things, ha, oo, ha, etc. singing is called stobha. Astobham. That which does not contain stobha. Okay? Because we are talking Vaidika language. Anavadyam. Anavadyam means vadyam. Means that which can have a blemish. That can be, you can find a fault in which. Anavadyam. Navadyam iti anavadyam. That in which you can find no fault. That is called anavadyam. So if all these six are there, alpaksharam, which is brevity, asandigdham, not ambiguous, vishvato mukham, means a word or a sense can, any word used should be, any meaning it can get, all of them should apply. Saravat should contain only the essence. Vishvato mukham, sorry, we did that, Saravat. Astobham should not contain stobha. Anavadyam should be faultless, blemishless. If these six are met, then it is called a sutra. Okay? So it's not easy to understand in what a sutra. That's what a sutra is. Now Panini wrote about 4,000 sutras. Why did I go there? Because I was saying Panini wrote sutras. So sutras are considered to be at the apex of our whole Shastra pyramid. If you can look at the Shastra pyramid. First you have these very, very brief things called sutras. After the sutras will come what is called a sutra vritti. Some brief explanation of the sutras will be there. Then what follows? Then somebody will come and write one longer explanation on that short explanation. then the next fellow will come and say, this is also too complicated, let's write a longer explanation. So people keep on writing till you'll have a huge base of the pyramid. So on top is a sutra. So sutra literature is what all our Shastras are well known for. Vyakarana Shastra, which is Panini. Vedanta Shastra, so you have the Brahma Sutra. Yoga Shastra, you have the Patanjali Sutras there. Sankhya Shastras. So Nyaya Sutras, or not Shastra, Sutras. All of them are Sutras. Okay? Which means, because the idea was this, there is nothing which is translated by a written word. Writing meant you had to get a palm leaf. That was also much later. First it was only oral tradition. Then palm leaf, and you have to struggle to write. If you want a copy, it's not like, okay, run 20 copies. Go to the machine, hit 20 and, enter. No. You had to copy every single word by hand. Okay, which means that to read a book meant that you had to make a copy, meant a lot of effort. And it's written on palm leaves. They go old. They can crumble. A goat or they say ajabakshitam. A goat ate it away. Goat eats it, cow eats it, fire will consume it. It is said that Padmapadacharya had written a very big, elaborate treatise on the entire Brahma Sutra. All the sutras. And he had left it in one of his uncle's place. And his uncle apparently was not happy with that for some reason. So when Padmapada went away, one day he set fire to the place. And it all got burnt, and his head burnt out. So when Padmapada came back from his pilgrimage, there was nothing. He was in tears. He went back to Shankara to say, Shankara was his guru. And Shankara said, okay, he had shown Shankara the initial part of his sutras. But Shankara was known as Ekagrahi, Sadragrahi, which means once you tell him, he will get it in his head. It's all in memory. So Padmapada had read it to him once. He said, Shankara said, don't worry, those 5 sutras, I will tell you, you write it down again. He gave it back to Padmapada. And Padmapada could write it back, and therefore we have those 5 still remaining as a literature in our Vedanta Shastra today. This is the Medha Shakti of our people in the past. But anyway, all I'm saying is this is how the sutras work. Okay? So here, coming back to the context, Suptingantam Padam is a sutra. What is it saying? See the word Pada. What do you understand by the word Pada? Pada means a word. That's how we translate it, right? But in Sanskrit, how did it come? Padyate ananeti padaha. That by which something is known is called Pada. Okay? That's a very generic meaning. You know something by a sentence also. You know something by a letter also. You know something by a sign also. Hey, if I did this, I'm waving to you. I'm calling you. What is special about this? So in Panini's world, this has to be clearly defined. So this is called a Sanya Sutra. Sanya. Sanya means what? Sanya means what? It means a definition. Okay? So I'll write it down for you. Right? No, I'm sorry. I should write Jakara first. Sanya Sutra. Okay? No, sorry. I'll fix that. Sutra. Sanya Sutra. Now, in this context, I just want to make sure all of you understand one thing here. Okay? What is this nya? What is this character you're thinking in Sanya? That is actually equal to Jakara plus this is what the 2 characters are, okay? These 2 characters plus a vowel is what is giving you that Sanya. The pronunciation has to be Sanya. Sanya Sutra. Okay? People pronounce it as Gya, Gya, all these things. But those are not right. This is exactly what it consists of. Jakara. And Nya is Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Nya. The nasal of that class. Those 2 combining together is what's going to give you Nya. Okay? Nya. So you have to get the Ja sound and the Nya sound. Right. And you will get it. Okay? So the Ya should not come unpronounced. Ja and Nya. 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 Sanya. Okay? Okay? So Sanya Sutra. Sanya Sutra means what? A definition. Which means what? It does not matter now what you understand by the word padam. Okay? When Panini says, you know, it is this, then all it means is that he is defining the word pada. Okay? He is defining the word pada. So that is something which is being done here. He is technically defining what the meaning of the word pada means. And he is saying that for my entire grammar, my entire sutra literature, the word pada will mean only that which ends in a sup or that which ends in a thing. Okay? This is what I stated for you here. See how many lines I wrote here for you? And what is really required is just this much. Suptingantam padam. So now think about it, okay? Even with this small context, if you remember this one sutra, you keep this explanation in mind, it's easy for you to recall this. Suptingantam padam. Okay? So with this, we have made a beginning, first foray into Panini Sutra. Alright? You're going to see a lot more of them as we go. But without the complication, I will make it as simple as I have made this one. It is just a tool to memory to start with. Later you will start appreciating how to use it better as well. Okay? Okay. Then, what is vibhakti? Now, we spoke of the fact that, I said Ramaha becomes Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramo, Raman. Now, these are called what? In English, you will see the word case terminations, case endings. Right? And in the case of Patha, we saw Patati, Patataha, Patanti. Again, Patha was the root and we added case endings to it. Right? So all these case endings, whether it goes to nouns or to verbs, they all have one technical definition in the Paninian world. They are called vibhakti. Okay? Is that clear? Vibhakti. Now, I want to introduce another aspect of the books that I have given you so you can see how to use the books we have. Now, those of you who have this, will use both these glossary books that we have, okay? So look at your glossary books and I will show you what it means now, okay? So the first thing is, there is one which says glossary of common, sorry, one second. One is called a Dhatu Kosha, okay? The Dhatu Kosha is a collection. Dhatu Kosha is a collection of all the dhatus, all the verbal roots. Okay? So if you open it, what do you find? In the first page, you will find something like Aka Kutilayam Gatau. Okay? So these are one of the books I have mentioned. Those of you who have joined this group late, if you go and look at your postings, you will find a book, 5-6 books which I mentioned, and one of them will be Dhatu Kosha. Another one is called a glossary of common verbal roots with prepositions. Now, these are very useful books, and I'm trying to introduce you to these books so you know how these books may be used. Okay? So now, just temporarily, what I will do is I will show you here, right here. I'll put something here, and maybe I'll remove it later. Okay. So now, vibhakti. So this vibhakti is actually made up of 3 components. It is V plus bhaja plus tin. Okay? These are the 3 pieces in the word vibhakti. Okay? Now, if you look at this V is called a prefix. In English you would call it. In Sanskrit it's called upasarga. Don't worry about this term right now. I will repeat it again. Upasarga. This middle term is the main thing. It's the central fellow, the linchpin. It's called a dhatu. So you have upasarga, then dhatu, then this is called a pratyaya. Okay? And then, actually speaking, I have one more pratyaya, which is called su. Okay? The net result of these 3 put together is what you get the word vibhakti. Bhakti. Now this is what is a Subanta Pada. This last thing that you see here, this su. This su is the ending. This is the Vibhakti. Okay? I'm explaining the Vibhakti, but even in that I'm just explaining that this part is called Vibhakti Pratyaya. Okay? Then, this piece, as I told you, is the Dhatu. This one is a special Pratyaya which I don't want to get in details right now. It's a Kridanta Pratyaya. We will deal with it a little later. Okay? What I wanted to show you now is this. Now, if you open your Dhatu Kosha, the book called Dhatu Kosha, it's a alphabetical listing of all the roots. Okay? So in the alphabetical listing of all the roots, what do you find? You first start, the alphabetical listing is based on the Sanskrit order. It starts with A, E, etc. So you're starting with A. Now we want to look at the dhatu bhaja, which is where pa, pa, ba, bha. So you turn your pages till you go to bha. Okay? So when you go to bha, you will find that the page number is page 48. Okay? Page 48. Bhaja Sevayam. You'll see it somewhere in the middle of page 48. Located. Bhaja Sevayam. Is that somebody's phone here? Okay. Bhaja Sevayam. So now, you see the word Bhaja Sevayam is given first, and then you have Bhaja. So this, you see the English meaning now in the end of that line. What does it say? To serve, to take possession of. Okay? You have heard the word Bhakti, devotion. You serve Bhagavan, right? Bhakti. Then, we say one who goes to Ishvara, Mrityum na bhajati janma shatena. Bhajati, bhajate. All these words exist. Where are all coming from? Bhaja dhatu. What is the meaning of the dhatu bhaj? You get it from here. Okay? Now, hold this page, but go to the first page for just a minute. Hold that page. Okay? What do you find? You will find an index to this book. What is the index to the book looking like? It is saying the first column is the verbal root as given by Panini. I will explain what that means in a minute. Okay? The verbal root as given by Panini. What is the second piece saying? The meaning in Sanskritam. It's always in seventh case. The meaning is given like Bhaja Sevayam. In the matter of doing service. With reference to service. That's what it means. Then what is the third one? The verbal root without the indicatory letter. Now what happens? Panini has to add some letters to the dhatu. To give you a very simple analogy, what's happening is this. Now, let us say I want to give you some, I want to give you this whole projector screen. I want to ship it. It's shipped to me right now. Is it shipped in this form, assembled, all ready for use? No. It's shipped as pieces, right? But what do you get? You will get a box, and it says, it will have a manifest which will say, these are the 4 pieces in it. It will have an instruction to say how to put it together, right? And let's say I had an optional piece here to actually hang it on the ceiling or put it on the wall mounted. Am I using it right now? I am not, correct? So all the pieces are there. The package contains everything, and there is an instruction which tells you how to put it together. All right? What do you do when you take out the package? You unpack it. You take out the pieces you need, assemble them as you want. In the same way, not exactly, but in a very similar way, the dhatus, along with the dhatu, there has to be a lot of information packaged. Okay? Like the screen is the most important thing here. But you need the clamp to fix it. You need something to hang it. You need a stand to hold it, right? These are not that important. What's the main thing here? The screen, right? So if I could take this analogy, the equivalent of the screen is the third column, the verbal root without indicatory letters. Okay? So the verbal root without indicatory letters is like the main thing, the real root which you'll use. What is everything else then? So you see the first column, what did it say here? Bhaja. Right? In this verb we are looking at, it says bhaja. So what does bhaja mean? Let me actually put that down here as well. So it is bhaja is the Paninian form. All right? What is our basic form, the root without indicator letters called? Bhaj. Okay? What is extra now in the Paninian form? All right? Just keep that in mind. Don't worry anything more about it. All right? All these will come in very handy later. I'm just showing you what this book is about right now because I have asked you to take this book and I want you to start getting the benefit of using this book from day one. Okay? Bhaja. Then what is the third column? We did that. Fourth column is the class to which this root belongs. Right? So the class here says what? So, okay, let me just put this down here further, just for the benefit of those who may not have this book. Bhaja. And the second column here is Sevayam. Sevayam. Oh. Bhaja Sevayam. Okay. The third column is Bhaja. Fourth column is what? It tells you the class to which the root belongs. And here it is saying 1. Correct? 1. Okay. I'll change my thing to English. Please don't speak here, whoever it is. 1. This is the class to which the root belongs. Next column is Anet Sate. Wait, don't worry about this, but I'll just put it down for the sake of completion right now. S. Then you have you, and then we have the meaning. To serve, right? To take possession, and then take possession of. All right? So this is what you're seeing in your book right now. So now I'm saying, now you can look at the board, even you don't have the book. So this bhaja is what is being expanded here, okay? In the second line. So this one is the root. Are you unmuted? Okay. This one is the root without the, with the packaging, okay? The sevayam is the meaning in Sanskrit for those of you who know what is Sanskrit meaning of the word, okay? Third one tells you the main real kernel, the crux of this root, which is what you will use to start forming any words with it later. Beginning point. The next one tells you it belongs to the first group. I told you that there are the whole dhatus, all the 2,200 dhatus or so in the language are divided into 10 groups. Each group is called a gana, a class. Okay? So the groups are numbered 1 through 10. It's very well known what is first, what is second. It's not arbitrary. So when I say first gana, there are certain characteristics. Second gana, there are some characteristics. Gana means a group. Ganapati means a leader of a group. Okay? So gana is a group. First gana, second gana, third gana. So you have 10th gana like this. There is one more, 11th one, which now is not called 11, but there is one more, okay? But these are the 9 ganas within dhatus. Don't confuse this with something else because there is a whole book called Ganapatha, which includes groupings of a lot of things. We're not talking of that here. We're only talking of the groupings within the verbs. And why are they grouped? Because there is a certain way in which each of these roots in a group, they have one way of being treated. It's like saying, you know, all people who are from an Indian origin have a particular characteristic on their face. All people with a Caucasian origin have a particular look on their face. All people with an African origin have a particular look on their face. Now I've categorized the whole people into three groups. And I can say fourth is everybody else. Right? So in the same way, in order to make our life easier, how do we make life easier? You don't, like I told you an example last time, if you want to give bananas and oranges to everybody, I would say what's the majority? Right? I'll just say give bananas to everybody and then say oranges to these two people. In the same way, I'm saying you group things so it's convenient. You work with a set. You don't work with one individual piece at a time. Okay. Okay, fine. I'll take it. Yes, Krishna Prasadji, you have a question. I'll take it.
Shankarji, actually, is it not 1 AU? Because in the text it is written as 1 AU.
Oh, I must have missed an A. I must have missed an A, that's all. I'll check it. 1 second. You're right. 1 AU. You're right. I'm sorry. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's
yeah. All right. So, what I was saying now, I'm sorry. Yeah, so the classifications are basically meant for us to be able to generalize certain rules. Okay, now you don't know what the classification are, you don't know what the rules are at this point, but bear in mind that there are 10 groups within the verbs, and we will look at them and you will see that how it becomes very, very meaningful and important for you to know as we go ahead. Okay, we'll see it very soon, not too far away. All right, then the next column is what? The next column says it is Anit, sate or wait. Don't worry about this right now. I will deal with it later. Okay. Next one is called Atmane Pada, Parasmaya Pada or Ubhaya Pada. I mentioned this while we were talking about it, that there are two padas, Atmane Pada and Ubhaya Pada. These are some kind of endings. And they can all, some roots can take both the endings. That is called Ubhaya Pada. Ubhaya means both. In Panini's world, there is nothing called Ubhaya Pada. He says there is Atmane Pada, there is Parasmaya Pada, and he says if it takes both, he says it takes both. Why add a third term? Alpaksharam. Remember, he does not want to add another definition uselessly. He will just say there is Parasmaya Padam, there is Atmane Padam. And then he will say this will also take Atmane Padam with Parasmaya Padam. That's it. Ubhaya Pada is covered. That's how Panini works. Okay. Then the next thing is giving you the meaning in English. Okay. So for any word, any root you want, like say we did the root Patha the other day. Go find Patha. Find Patha now. So where will you find Pat? Just a little before this Bhaja. Right? So Patha is on which page now? 41. Page 41 for those of you looking. Patha Vyaktayam Vachi. Vyaktayam Vachi means it is something where some clear thought is made, some thought is made clear. Vyakta means what is made manifest. The difference is this. Vachi means in speech. Vyaktayam Vachi. In speech it is clear. Why? What is unclear in speech? What is unclear in speech? Suppose you had a dog barking. Is it speaking? It is in a way. In its language. Is it clear? No. That is called Avyaktayam Vachi. Okay? So Vyaktayam Vachi. No word is extra. This Dhatu Patha also, by the way, is an appendage to Panini Sutra Patha. Because it is like this. I received the projector in the mail from one company. Okay? Can somebody else give me the instructions and manifest for that? No. The guy who packaged it and labeled it in a particular way and marked A, B, C, D as the parts, he has to give me the instructions, right? So if Panini gave me the way how I should use it, he has to tell me the packaging also. So this is his package. This Dhatu Patha is his package for all the Dhatus. Therefore, this and his Sutra Patha have to go hand in hand. You can't, because there are other Dhatu Pathas also. So don't use some other Dhatu Patha with Panini Sutra Patha. It doesn't make sense. It may work sometimes, it may not work sometimes. Because the Jainas and Bauddhas also had Sanskritam as a base. But they didn't like the way some of our words were interpreted. So they wrote their own meanings. So they have done things like that. So we should be cautious that we are looking at the Paniniya Sutra Patha. Sutra Patha is the Panini Sutras. And Paniniya Dhatu Patha. The Dhatu Patha written by Panini. Now this is like the Dhatu Patha. The difference only is in Dhatu Patha, the Dhatus are all in a particular order of the class. So you'll first get everything in first class. Then you get everything in second class. Then third class. Group, the Gana. Whereas here what do you find? It's alphabetical, dictionary order. Irrespective of which class it belongs. Okay? So now, Patha, if you look in Patha, it's on page 41. It's in the middle of page 41. You'll see Patha Vyaktayam Vachi. Again, it's like Bhaja, it has an Akara extra. Main Dhatu is just Pat. Right? Then it is also belonging to the first Gana. It is Sate, Parasmaya Pada, and the meaning is to read, to study, to describe. Now, did you know the meaning to describe till now for Patha? See, whenever I say Patha, what everybody says, he reads. But you could also say he describes. It is equally correct. Not normally known, but it's a valid meaning. Okay? Now, what are we looking at? We looked at Bhaja. Correct? Bhaja was Bhaja Sevayam. Bhaja, to serve, to take possession of. Correct? Now, what is the word we started with here? One line before on our screen. Vibhakti. Right? V plus Bhaja plus Tin. Vibhakti, vibhaga. You heard the word vibhaga? Have you heard that word? What does it mean? Division. Right? The word vibhaga. Vibhaga. Oh, all right. I didn't change my font. Vibhaga. Right? This is what it is. Now, this also is coming from the same group, except that here it is V plus same bhaja plus something else which you don't know about. Okay? It is something called yeah, that's what it is. Okay, I mean somebody said ghani, so I said that's what it is here. So people on the call may not have heard that, they just heard just that's what it is, so it's ghani. So this is another pratyaya. Now the thing is, what do you see common? See, the way you attack the whole language is not to know words individually. You attack the dhatu, you attack the prefix, you attack the suffix. Upasarga, dhatu, pratyaya. If you start looking at language like this, you will suddenly find that Sanskrit will become something more easier for you. Otherwise, for every word you have to look up a dictionary, and dictionary will not give you all the words. You will not find them. Okay? So now, what does it happen? What did you find in Dhatu Patha? We found bhaja. Bhaja did not help us. Right? Because we have something extra sitting here. This fellow. The word bhaja means sevayam. What was the meaning we saw for sevayam? To serve, to take possession of. What is vibhaga? Divide. Does it have any connection? Is there any connection between to serve and to divide? There is no connection. Absolutely none. Okay? So when this upasarga comes, it can completely change the meaning of the root. Alright? This is something you have to keep in mind. Therefore, I asked you guys to get the second book. Okay? The second book, unfortunately, there's no one book which has everything in one convenient place. But it's a very, very handy tool, and I will tell you something. Though this dhatu patha, we saw the meanings, we saw the word bhaja to mean to serve, to take possession of. These are not the only meanings of the dhatu. Please be very, very clear about it. There is no place that I know of today which will give you all the meanings of a dhatu. The only way to know it is to have studied the literature. People who are very well read with literature have tried to extract, based on the usages, the various meanings of the verbs, the various meanings of dhatus, the various meanings of upasargas, and try to list them. Panini does not do this job. He just tells you some rules, but he does not tell you how every word's usage will be different. He covers the main ones. But to know everything, you have to know the language. This is what I meant by saying grammar is different from the language. Language is not grammar. Language is much more than grammar. Now, this book, which Swami Paramarthananji in his Brahmachari days created, okay, it's called Paramartha Chaitanya. And he has actually taken the effort to collect from wherever and give us a very, very handy collection of roots with upasarga. It's a beautiful collection. I discovered this very recently, actually, and it's a beautiful book. So now what do? You again look for bhaja here. It's alphabetical. Look for bhaja. It's on page 31. Okay? And there what do you find? You will find that there is first bhaja. Sorry. No, it's the other one. Second book. Glossary of common verbal roots with prepositions. With prepositions, yeah. 31, yeah. Found it? Bhaja, and it says one, okay, one, U. U means the same thing which you saw in Dhatu Patha, which said it is Ubhayapadi. You saw one U in the Dhatu Patha when you're looking at Bhaja entry. That U. One is first Gana. Okay? Now what you need to do is this. This is the join key, okay, if I'm talking in the RDB language. Okay, this is your key. So you take this, and based on this, you will understand that this is how you correlate these two. The root, bhaja, is the key. And this one U is giving you a kind of a cross check. It is the same one, okay? Bhaja, one U. Because there can be three bhajas with different meanings. You want to make sure it's the same one. So look at the number. Which group? First gana, ubhayapadi. Now we are in business. Once you know that, now it shows you the list of prefixes which apply to this. What is the first one? Vi. Right? So, Vi. What is the meaning of Vi? He gives you now. What is the meaning? So it says to divide, distribute, distinguish, honor, worship. All these meanings are possible. Okay? So right now I will write one meaning here, to divide. Okay? Now you see what happens. You had the word vibhakti. Okay? For now you understand that this, see, what do we have now? We have bhaja. Okay? So if you just had something like bhajate or bhajati, you would have just used the glossary of roots, Dhatu Kosha, first book we looked at. But when you have the second fellow, then just using that is not a very good idea. You look at the second book and find out what it means. This combination is what the meaning is. Okay? For now, I am telling you that ignore this thing. What did you get with these two? Vi plus bhaja? To divide. Okay? There are four meanings here, but I am telling you it here, it means divide. Vibhaktihi. Now you look at this word vibhaktihi. It means division. Okay? What is it dividing? What is it dividing or what is it separating? Divide means separate, right? The noun base is being changed in a way. It's being separated in a way. You can see the word distinguish also is there, not just divide. Distinguish. You see that? Probably distinguish fits better here. Distinguish. It distinguishes each of the 24 forms of the nouns clearly. Because, or even the 9 forms of verbs. Patati, patataha, patanti. Patasi, patataha, patatha. Patami, patavaha, patamaha. What made the difference? Every side it was patha. Patha is a dhatu. What is it that distinguished it? Ti, taha, anti. What are these called? Vibhakti. That which distinguishes. You see how beautiful the whole setting is? The vibhakti mean, it's not a meaningless word. It's a very meaningful word when you understand what it means. And I'm saying, I'm just giving you one demonstration of how to use these books. And I'm saying I encourage you. The more you use these books, the more you're going to gain. Every time you come across a root, look at it. Try to know its meanings. Try to know what prefixes it can be used with, in what senses. Then your knowledge, your database will enhance. Because everybody asks, I know some grammar. How do I increase my vocabulary? One way is to read. The second way is to also look at these. Very, very useful. Okay? This is why I said this. I did not ask everybody to buy a dictionary. Okay? Because a dictionary is limited resource. It gives you only the words listed in dictionary. This opens up the world for you. Because all the dhatus and all, not all, a very large number of prefixes are included. Okay? Does that make sense? Anybody has any question on this? Yes, KK. You could have in this case, but, I'll repeat the question first. The question in the hall was, could we have skipped the Dhatu Kosha and gone straight to the book of glossaries with the prefixes for Paramarthananji? The answer is, yes, we could have for Vibhakti. But I wanted you to see both the books and understand the relative usages. Because if somebody else decided to look at Dhatu and say Bhaja means Sevayam, to serve, and what is Vibhakti, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want you to get confused. So first step is to look at that. Because you should know what the Dhatu means also. See, unfortunately, in Paramarthananji's books, you don't get the Dhatu's meaning. You only get the meaning with the Upasarga. Okay? So what you can do is every time you are referencing something in Paramarthananji's books, you please make a note of the Dhatu details right there. If these two can be combined, we will have an excellent book. But unfortunately, they are not combined at this point in time. Okay? Therefore, I had to ask you to take 2 books. So I'm saying you look at both of them and start making a note. Now, in that context, I would also... Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that after this. It's almost time now. Now, just one second. Okay. See, if you look again, now I'm showing you another book, okay? I'm just trying to show you how the resources have to be used, because these are introductory classes to the language and to the books I'm talking about. So look at this book, Dhatu Rupa Manjari, the yellow covered book. Okay? Go to page 6 of that. Page 6 of the Dhatu Rupa Manjari. If you look there, you will find it is talking of upasargas. Upasarga means a prefix. And what can the prefixes do to you? That's what it's talking about. So it says, Dhatvartham badhate kaschit, kaschittam anuvartate, tameva vishinashtyanyah, upasarga gatistridha. Okay? What does it mean? Dhatvartaha badhate kaschit. Some upasarga, some prefixes will negate the meaning of the dhatu, which means it will, if the dhatu says come, it will make it go. It will make it opposite. It will negate the meaning completely. The second one is kaschittam anuvartate, which means it will kind of follow the meaning of the dhatu. There is some slight shade meaning difference, but the meaning will be retained. Then tameva vishinashtyanya, something will kind of emphasize or describe, delineate the meaning better of the same dhatu. And then kaschittam anuvartate vishinashtyanya upasarga gatistridha. So these are the three ways in which the upasarga modifies it. That's not all. Upasargena dhatvartaha balat anyatra niyate. By certain prefixes, balat, by force, dhatvartaha anyatra niyate. The meaning of the dhatu is taken to something completely unrelated. It is not opposed to it. It is not following it. It is not delineating it. It is something unconnected. What happened to the bhaga? Bhaja sevaya, to serve. What is the meaning? To distinguish. How did it make a difference? How is it connected? No connection. This is the example of balat anyatra niyate. Okay. Then he gives an example of all these. Prahara, samhara, vihara, parihara vat. Prahara. All of these words have one dhatu, which is hr. Hr, to take away. Hruny harane. Okay. You can, if you want, you can look it up in Paramarthananjis or in this both. You can look it up. Okay. Hr. Hr, we will find it on. We'll look where it is. So hr. Okay. Okay. Hruny harane. This happens to be on page 84 and towards the third part of the page, the last part of the page, last third, page 84 in the Dhatu Kosha book. Hruny harane, meaning is to take away, to lead, to draw to a distance. Okay, this is the meaning of the dhatu. Now you can go and look for the same hruny in Paramarthananjis book with the prefixes. Okay, so when you do that, what will you find? You will find all these things I mentioned. Vihara, samhara, etc. All that you will find. 60? Okay, thank you. Okay, so on Paramarthananji's book, which is called the Glossary of Common Verbal Roots with Prepositions, you will find on page 60 the dhatu hr. 1 u, it says, means ubhayapadi. Now you look there. If you look for pari, you will find abandon. Parihara, to remove, to abandon. Upahara, to bring near, to offer. Samhara, some is there, to bring or draw near. To abridge, to withhold, to suppress. A lot of meanings given. To destroy. See, we normally know, when I say samhara, what does everybody understand here? Destroy. Right? But you look at what are the meanings possible. Samhara means to draw close together. To contract, to abridge, to compress, to drop, to collect, to accumulate, to withdraw, to withhold, to restrain, to suppress, to close, to wind up. Now, what is our understanding of the word samhara? How complete is it? You should pay attention to this. The fact that we know, we scratch the surface and we think we know the word samhara. We don't. But then, let me also say one more thing. The word samhara may not have all these meanings. The prefix sam with hru has all these meanings. It may not apply to this word samhara necessarily. Alright? So I'm saying it is not as simple as saying just look it up and you'll know the meaning. I mean, if you didn't have any clue of the language and if you looked at this, you would say, now what will I do with this? I get so many meanings. The only thing I'll say is this. You are wiser that you are now, instead of having the whole universe as a possible meaning, you have only a handful. Alright? But in the context, because ultimately, vivaksha, the context is very, very important in the language. As I was saying the other day, if I said door, it could mean close the door, it could mean open the door, it could mean where is the door, right? What door? It could mean anything. Context tells you that. My body language can tell you that. What we are speaking can tell you about it. So context should never be forgotten. What I showed you right now is this, because see, last time I had introduced you the Shabda Manjari. This time I have introduced you to 2 more books, at least. Yes. There's a question here. I'm going to take that. Yes. Yeah. Okay. The question is, in Paramathanji's book with the Upasargas, what's the order of the things? It is again Dhatu order, alphabetical. Dhatu order, alphabetical. And within each Dhatu, the Upasargas, I'm not sure, they may also be alphabetical, I'm not sure. I haven't checked that. So basically you go with Dhatu, then you find it. Okay? So I'm saying that Upahara Samhara, which I read to you from the Dhatu Manjari, if you look at that page 7, later you can look it up, we can even walk over it some other time. But that page 6 and 7 give you examples of 20 common prefixes, Upasargas, and what kind of meaning they are generally used in. It's a good thing to know, but they will not always hold. Okay? So it's a good starting point, but not the end game. All right? So this is how these books will be very, very useful to you. All right? So, and I am not going to, today I at least wrote 1 line. In future, I'm just going to refer to the books as and when needed and show you the pages. So I expect everybody who's attending the class to have a copy of this books with them. Okay? So please, those of you coming here, make sure you bring your copies with you. And if there are 3 of you in a family, bring 3 copies so that you're not trying to, or sit with each other and share it if you can. That's fine with me. But keep these books handy because they will always be useful to you at one time or the other. I will refer to them. Infant reader, definitely bring it because if you read, it will be needed. These books are more like references, but very useful for you to refer whenever you need to. Okay? So I went away all over here because it gave me a context to explain what is this vibhaga, vibhakti. Vibhakti is that which distinguishes. That when added to a dhatu will distinguish it from all the 9 forms, the verbal forms in a lakara. And that which when added to a pratipadikam, a noun base, will distinguish and create those 24 forms of the noun. That is why it is called vibhakti. Okay? It distinguishes it. So that is the general meaning of the word vibhakti. And we will go further with, what has to be done with, I have to go to Karaka Vibhakti, etc. We'll start with this in the next class and continue from there. Okay? So any questions at this point, I will take them before I close. Okay. Question is, what is the root of Dhatu Rupa Manjari book? Since we are ending with time right now, I'll pick that up in the next class and explain it. Okay? Padas? Okay. What? Okay. The question is, what are the 3 parts of the vibhakti? V plus bhaj plus tin. Okay, I will show that to you here again. So everybody is on the same page. Okay, so this is what we saw, right? V is the upasarga. Don't say upasarg, okay? That is Hindi. Upasarga. You have to get used to adding that swara at the end. When there's an I, you have to pronounce it. Upasarga, bhaj, dhatu. This tin is another kind of pratyaya. It's called a kridanta pratyaya, which you don't know about yet. We will deal with it later. And the last su is a subanta pratyaya. This is what is called, this su is what is called vibhakti. Okay? Don't confuse this because all I'm trying to say is this. I'm explaining the word vibhakti itself. So it's a bad example. Let me give you another example here. Suppose I had this word here, vibhagaha. Suppose I had the word vibhagaha. Okay. Now this is bhaga is plus Okay? This su is what brings this visarga here. Okay? And this su is called vibhakti pratyaya. This is what, see, because these three added together, V plus bhaj plus ganj, these three together will give you what is called as a noun base, the pratipadikam. Then you add a subanta pratyaya, a subpratyaya to get the noun word. Okay? So this su alone in this is called the vibhakti. These three together, everything before this will give you together the pratipadikam, the noun base. Okay? All right. Viral Kumarji has a question. I'll take that and then we will stop after that. Yes, Viral Kumarji.
Hi. Actually, I wanted to purchase those books. I don't know where should I buy them. Is it like, can I order from online also?
Yes, you can. I mean, see all this. See, it's on the bookstore. It's available on a bookstore, and I have sent postings on this. I would expect all of you. I mean, I'm expecting all of you to look at the Google homepage, look at what's posted, because I don't want to take everybody's time repeating what's already there. But for your information, there are 6 books which I mentioned. The people in our bookstore know it. You can order it on the phone. You can order it online, or if you come physically to the Gurukulam, you can pick it up. All of them are possibilities. So those 6 books I will mention again in the next class so that people can have time to take a break right now. And we'll go from there. Okay?
Thank you.
Any other question? Okay. So we'll stop now. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. We meet again at 4:30. Thanks. Oh, and those of you online, you might want, you should actually make sure that you're logged off, or if you're on the phone, just hang up and call back again. You have to use a different code to come back in. It's not the same. Don't leave your monitors hanging. It won't help you. Okay? Thank you.